Hypnochix. I'm Victoria Holtz, and we have Joyce Morales.
Yes.
And we are both hypnotherapists certified. And as you know, if you have been watching, we just had a wonderful workshop last weekend. We had some awesome participants, and it was great because they were able to interact and connect with the different sorts of techniques that we were giving them and some little exercises. So yeah, it was a really great workshop. So hopefully we'll be having one, I think the end of next month again. We might be doing
February. We'll do another one.
Yeah, law of attraction, right? We're going to be.
Yes, the first one was transformation. There was some law of attraction related stuff in it, but we're going to build on it.
Yes.
So that you're getting even more, and we'll show you even more ways to help kind of clear resistance and minimize the interference that we're throwing out there, because the universe is always going to give you what you believe that you deserve. Cliff Notes version of it. If you think you deserve it, that's what you're going to get. So we have to believe better to attract better.
Right.
And I think all of our students really got that in the last one, but we're going to build on all of the tools and give you even more that you can use the next time. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the reasons why we do that in this episode.
Yeah. Yes. We're going to be talking about letting go of, attachments, because we do that, and letting go of, dwelling on the outcome. And I know personally, I have been there. I still deal with it once in a while, and then I got to snap out of it and be like, nope, we're just going to go with the flow. And sometimes Joyce has to remind me. She goes, oh, hold on, back it up. And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Thankfully, you do it for me too. So there's good checks and balances there. We hold each other accountable, which is awesome.
Yes. So it is good if you have a friend or a family member that can kind of, keep you in check and keep them in check. So that way, they don't get attached to that outcome, because what you're doing is creating like a wall for the universe.
Yeah. I wish we had asked if they would have minded us recording it, because they shared some phenomenal stuff with us.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
And one of the big things is that we have to be careful also, because we're constantly attracting, whether we want to or not. That's why it's really important to rein in and have some control over your thoughts and your beliefs. And it is something that you can do. You can regulate your state, but I feel like it's not as many of us are raised to know this. So it's a wisdom that you have to come into as an adult. I think it would be nice if we were able to teach our children sooner than later, so that they can have more positive influence of their outcomes.
Yeah, we don't learn that in school at all. At all. I think we kind of learn how to kind of in a sense dwell on the outcome. It's like get ready for high school, get ready for college, and get ready for a career, and get ready for adulting. And it's never like just do what makes you happy, and raise your vibration rate, raise your frequency. I know some schools though are starting to introduce meditations and stuff, which is awesome. I don't know if we have any here in California that are they doing anything like that in Nevada, where they're introducing meditation?
I can't speak for the school system, especially in Clark County, because of COVID and everything.
Yeah.
But that's even more reason for parents to get into it and start teaching it to your kids, because stillness is such an important part of your mental health. Because when you're in a house and you're with each other all day, every day, you can drive each other up a wall. So it's important to be able to be like, okay, I need to take a break, and for the other person to be okay with it.
Right. What should we talk about? Let's talk about, letting go of these attachments that you may be having. Like, what kind of attachments do you have? Is it finances? Is it relationship? What is it?
Well, those are pretty common ones. It's usually love, money, and status.
Status, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's run with that.
Well, I mean, because status doesn't necessarily have to do with your career, but it's about feeling valued. And really, I think in the end, all of these come down to feeling valued. And I don't feel like it's wrong for us to want that, but we do have to learn how to cultivate it within ourselves first. Because if you don't value yourself, well, nobody else is. And even if they did, you wouldn't believe them.
No.
So it's really important to build that in yourself, and not like an arrogant way, because I feel like arrogance is actually a false like self-acceptance, because you're not really accepting yourself, but you're pretending like you are.
Yeah.
And you're being kind of smug and dismissive of the other people. Whereas if you were honestly accepting yourself, it would also be easier for you to accept other people as they are.
Yeah. I mean, we can't depend on money, and we can't depend on people to make us happy. We are responsible for our own happiness. And when you depend on people to make you happy, or money, it's like when they're gone, you know, what's going to make you happy, you know?
Right. Well, and I mean, because everything honestly is temporary.
Yes.
You know, so if the money comes, that's great. But no, you know, it might eventually not be there. And then what? Is your world going to end?
Yeah. I mean, can you sit back and actually think, you know, I'm doing this, you know, like let's say it's a job, a career, maybe even you're in a relationship. Are you happy in this? You know, are you waking up every day going, I can't wait to go to work. I can't wait to see my, you know, my partner. So it's like, are you happy, or are you just settling? You know?
Right. Because settling is a huge part of the interference that we interact with when we have our clients on a regular basis, is that at a certain point they've accepted, this is my life now, or this is the best I'm going to get. And so they're not actually moving towards their goal. Because I know we, you know, with law of attraction, a lot of times you'll hear people say, don't chase. And I would agree, don't chase. But you can take actions to put yourself in the right places for it to happen to you. And be looking through the right lenses to see those opportunities when they are coming up for you. You know, that it's, if you didn't, it would be like an actor or somebody saying that they want to be an actor, but never goes on stage, never tries out for anything, never puts their foot out there, never creates opportunities for exposure.
Right.
You know, and then just think like you're going to magically get picked up in a grocery store. Granted, that has happened in some very strange occasions, you know, unexpectedly, but for the majority of people, you know, they have to be willing to put themselves out there.
I mean, we all can't be Justin Bieber, you know, we can't be discovered on YouTube overnight, you know.
Is that how he got discovered?
Yeah, he like was singing with his acoustic guitar, and I guess he was discovered, like he was an overnight sensation. So yeah,
you know, when you have to believe that it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, you still got to put yourself out there so you could be discovered. Yeah. So it's still, you have to do. I mean, I know, like I have people come to me and they're like, "Oh, I want to be rich," and it's like, all right, well, what are you doing to make that happen? Well, you know, not much. It's like, well,
I'm hoping.
I think they really think. I think some people take it literal, like, you know, when you manifest, it belongs to you and it'll come to you, and they're like waiting at the door every day, like, is it here yet? Is my package here? You know, millions of dollars? Nope. Okay.
Well, true, but it's not impossible for that to happen. It's improbable. I don't. It's more on a scale of probability. Okay. So the more active they are putting themselves in the right places, the more probable it becomes. But at the same time, the law of attraction, really what we need to communicate to everybody is that it is based in belief. Do you believe that it's going to happen? Because you could say an affirmation all the time. I am rich. I am this. I am that. I'm a famous actor. I am a beautiful model, whatever it is. you could assert it all the time. But
Mhm.
if at the very core, you do not believe it, it will not happen because it's not what you believe.
Yeah.
That's the end. You will get what you believe because the universe is basically like a mirror reflection of your perception.
Mhm.
So you have to do the internal work to get it to manifest differently on the outside. And that it's just how it goes.
Right. And I think you can't really force it and push it. And I do agree, because sometimes that does happen, because you never know. You might have an unexpected inheritance that happens,
Mhm.
or who knows? You could have put in for a drawing years ago, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, you're a
Mhm.
winner for this much," and or you won this, and you're like, "Holy moly, I forgot all about that. I put that in there." Or like,
Yeah.
so
And
it can.
well, I know somebody, believe it or not, who had $5,000 hit their bank account recently within the last 2 weeks, had no idea where the money was from or what it was for. And they had to call the bank and
Wow.
find out, was this a mistake? And they're like, no, this was, and told them where it was from. And they called the people that they got it from, or the organization that they got the money from. So it does happen sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to get out of your own way.
Yeah. Crazy,
Yeah.
right? Crazy, right?
I know. I'm like, oh, I need to start doing this. And I know I had told you earlier that there was some stuff that I have a book of things that I'm kind of working on, at least to just set my intentions. But I felt like this intention was outdated, so I crossed it off out of my book. And then like the next morning, here it is popped up, and I was like, huh. It's because I was no
Yeah.
longer attached to the outcome.
Yes.
I won't give
Let it go.
details, but I was like, God, I needed this confirmation because I wanted to bring this information to you guys, because there's so many people out there talking about the law of attraction, and we're all really trying to communicate the same thing, but sometimes maybe it's not coming out right,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
or the intentions are there, or you're not currently at the level to really understand what it is that they're communicating at the time. But
Mhm.
you set your intention of what it is that you would like to have, and
Mhm.
it's and then you actually do just let it go, and like you have to trust that it's going to happen. And if for some reason it doesn't happen, then it's okay, because there's something better. But once you believe that, it's like a key that kind of makes it all a lot easier.
Yeah.
um
Right. Like we were talking about, oh my gosh, it was a while back. We were talking about relationships, like in general,
mhm.
not our particular ones, but just in general, like relationships. And we were like, isn't it so crazy when, you may have interest in a person, and it seems as though they have no interest in you until you let that go. Like,
Yeah,
they're like, or you
yeah.
go and you're with somebody else, and then that person you once had interest in, they call you or they come up to you and they're like, "Oh, I'd love to take you out on a date,"
Mhm.
or "I really liked you for a long time." And it's like, you tell me this now when I am in a committed relationship. You can kind of think of the universe that way too. It's like, it's almost like the whole the magic recipe is set it and
And
forget it.
forget it, like the laundry.
Yeah. I
So
always forget.
the laundry machine, it's gonna finish its cycle. You just come back when it's done.
Yeah, I always forget my clothes in the dryer all the time. But anyway, always I'm like, oh
But
yeah, I
the
forgot.
clothes are there waiting for you. I'm
Yes.
also going to throw this out there because, as you know that I'm an Orthodox Christian, and there's a lot of people in the Christian communities that have difficulties with the law of attraction. Right? They
How
are not
come?
sure how they feel about it, because some of them believe that it's witchcraft.
Really?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and what I would say, is we have all these practices where praying, and we're asking God, but it's basically the same thing. Like when we pray for something, we're supposed to be okay if it happens or if it doesn't happen, and
Mhm.
just trusting God's wisdom, kind of like we're saying, where the universe is created. The universe itself is not a deity, but it's a creation, but that it has everything that we need to be able
Right.
to give it if we just trust it. right? And this is Mark 11:23, but it's truly, I tell you, if anyone says to this mountain, go throw yourself into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that whatever they say will happen, it will be done. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that the big key, regardless of your religion, is just trust and believe that the thing that you want, or the thing that you're asking for, is going to happen. And if for some reason it doesn't happen, it's because there was something better for you than that. And once you have that level of trust, it really opens up this door to like all these possibilities that you were not privy to before.
Yeah. And I mean, it's also, if God, the universe, creator, whatever you pray to, you know, it's gonna send you obstacles regardless. And it's preparing you for what you are what you're trying to attract, or what you're requesting, like we had mentioned before. And
okay, I'm sorry, but
no, you're good.
We're talking about speaking to the universe and to the divine.
Yeah.
Making your intentions known.
Right. I mean, it's just, expect obstacles, expect them, and take it as a lesson. Don't, get too frustrated. Don't get angry. Take a deep breath and just know, okay, this is preparing me for the, but it puts your mind into like, what do I really want? And then it takes you to where you are supposed to be. Because you might say, well, I don't really like being treated this way. I don't like how they, behave with me or whatever. And then it makes you think, how do I want to be treated? How do I want, people to behave with me? So it's like, it's setting you up to give you that better outcome.
I do happen to look at it slightly differently, and it may not be exactly on par with my religious beliefs, but that's okay. Because I feel like I was saying, you get exactly what you believe, right? And it's not that, God or the universe doesn't want to give you these things. It's just, that's all you have eyes to see at the time. And if you were to imagine dropping pebbles in a pond, and they're creating the ripples that are moving outwards and outwards and outwards. And then you're like, okay, well, I don't want to drop that pebble here anymore. So pulls, and in the same place, have gotten stronger and created these waves of momentum that they need to clear out of the way first. So if you change and you start to drop the pebble in a different place, now you have these conflicting waves, and it's creating the old pattern is creating interference with the new thing that you want. And you have to have a little bit of patience and let it clear. You have to be able to, and that's where part of the letting it go part is so important, because if you are over here and you're trying to drop this pebble, but then you're like, well, why isn't it happening yet? You're going back to your old spot and dropping it again. See, it's not available to me because I haven't gotten it yet. If it was available to me, I would have gotten it. Why isn't it here yet? So you're accidentally switching back, and you're creating more interference, so that you're basically giving, God or the universe mixed signals about what you believe it's going to give you. And when you're doing that, the wave interference with each other is canceling each other out. So then you're not going to get what you want, and then you just kind of become scattered and getting all over the place. But like you were saying a minute ago, you can have an idea of what you want and get it, and then realize it's not actually what you want. So this is why when we're doing hypnotherapy, we're really going to dig deep with you to investigate whether the thing that you're asking me for is actually what you want. Is there an underlying motivation to it? Because, for example, Jim Carrey, right? He's a phenomenal actor. He can play, ridiculous comedies and really serious stuff. But he grew up, and there was a phase of his life where they were just living out of a van. So, and he identified that if he was rich, he would have everything that he needed. He would have the love that he wanted, the recognition, the status, everything, and he would just be happy, and it wasn't until he got to the height of his career where he was the most popular. It wasn't until he hit that kind of ceiling that he had made for himself that he realized that all of these things were band-aids.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't actually what was going to make him happy, because now that he had them all, he had the girlfriends, he had, you know, he had all the money he could possibly ask for, he had all of the attention, but he was still depressed.
Right.
And it was because he didn't have it inside yet. And then he kind of stepped back a little bit. He does still act, but he stepped back some so that he could work on himself. And I have to give him huge kudos for that, because that's a very big decision to make.
Mm-hmm.
But he has focused more on his paintings now,
Oh,
which
I know
give
that.
him really that joy.
I didn't even know he painted.
Yes.
I
Oh,
didn't know
he's
that.
great, by the way. Maybe we'll put some in here, or we'll have to tag him in this and see if
Yeah, I want
he'd
to
be
see
willing
his
to
paintings.
maybe do a Hypnochix logo. No, I'm just kidding. But
Oh.
but
Hashtag Jim Carrey paintings.
right. But definitely check it out. And he has like a little mini documentary about it. But this is where he's finally allowed himself to be open and to be vulnerable and just own it. And you know, like, if I'm not okay today, it's all right, because I'll be okay tomorrow.
Yeah, I have seen him coming, like being more open with, you know, his opinions and belief systems and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which is awesome because he's not
Yeah.
holding back anymore. And he's like, yeah, you know, I mean, we're in a quantum, you know, type of universe. People are like, what? Jim, what are you talking about?
I really feel like he's kind of in alignment now with a lot of the stuff that we would say.
Yeah.
Like, there was one interview I watched where he was talking about, you know, that when you're depressed, it's really because this avatar you've created is not in alignment with what you really want. And he's right. And that's probably the best way that you could say it, because we add a lot of layers of bullshit to who we think we are, and it's not really us. Why we identify with it because we're told to, you know, but your real identity is just you. It's like when all the other expectations and everything else is gone and it's just you and it's your mirror. Do you know who you are without all these labels and all of the words? Do you know you? And when you don't, you're going to grasp at straws to try to fill yourself up. Yeah. But you have to be okay with the person in the mirror first.
Right. And it's so crazy when people actually take the time to find themselves, because almost everything changes for the good. But I'm just saying everything changes. The stuff you liked at one time you liked to eat, the people you hang out with, you'll get a feeling of disconnect with them. You're like, why am I connecting with this type of person? You know, they don't lift me up, they drag me down. It's like you start really like figuring things out, like who you are as a you know, whether you want to accept yourself like as a soul having, you know, a human experience or whatever. The way you look at it is just even just, you know, getting to really know what's going to make you happy, who you are, what your actual interests are, not what you were told to be interested in or what to believe in, you know, even like,
or to be attracted to, what roles to play. You know, there's, before you can really be the fullest expression of yourself, there's this conscious unbecoming that has to happen. And you peel back all the layers of expectations that have been put on you over the years. And you have to, like, that's why we did the transformation workshop first, is because you have to consciously uncouple from these beliefs,
the limitations,
you know, and be willing to peel the layers of the onion back. You know, or have your chrysalis moment where you're all gooey inside, and allow yourself to be vulnerable and figure out where you're going with it. And then let that build up and start to take its own shape, so that when you emerge, you can have your kind of butterfly
wing
afterwards, you know, and have really your best life, because it is possible and it is attainable. But you have to really start with the core belief that it is possible first.
And you have to make sure what you are going to be focusing on, your happiness, is not for someone else. Not even for your kids, not even for your spouse, for your family, for actually yourself, because it's not gonna be as impactful as it would be if it was just for you. You know, you can't. It's like, you know what I mean. It's not gonna raise your vibrations or
Mhm.
frequency if you're doing it for like, well, you know, I know if I did this, you know, my husband would be so happy, or you know, I would
Mhm.
make my family happy and proud of me. And it's like, no, do it because it's going to make you happy and proud of yourself. And it's a big difference, it's a big shift. So
Mhm. Well, also too, I think when we do stuff for other people, right? Because the motivation is in the wrong place, that you ultimately end up resenting that person,
oh yeah.
because they're not going to see the progress fast enough for you to be happy with their recognition. So when you
Hmm.
do stuff, you have to do something for yourself, and it's
Right.
it's not to be dismissive of the other person that you care about, but things need to be done for the right reasons. And when we don't do them for the right reasons, and um like I said, that resentment will pop up, and then there's all this extra resistance between you and that person that didn't need to be there in the first place.
Mhm.
In my household, I did kind of both, because there's the scapegoat kid, and then there's the kid that's the golden child, and I would like be a little bit of both,
Mhm.
you know so, and I caught myself that was a pattern for me in some of my adult relationships, and I have to be honest with that. I don't want that anymore. So if I
Yeah.
catch any hint that that's the way it's going, um you know one, I won't talk to you anymore. But also two, um I can sniff out that kind of coercive shit, excuse
Oh
my language.
yeah.
Whether some people call it dark psychology or whatever, but you can tell when somebody's manipulating, or not being direct with you in a situation. And I'm like, had you told me XYZ, we could have like nipped all of this in the bud, and I would have said, okay, well, we're not a good match for this. Cool.
Right.
And but now we just wasted how much ever time of each other's lives that we could have been doing our own thing. Like, let's just be straight with each other.
Hmm.
You know, but that's part of the things, is like we need to be clear about what we want,
Right.
not just like in our own relationships, but also with what we want for our own life, and for like when we're communicating with God and the universe. Like, let's not try to manipulate and micromanage and try to control it and make it do what we want it to do. We just need to trust that if it's right, it's going to happen, and if it's not, then it wasn't meant to be.
Right. Well, do you think too, a lot of people they settle in situations, whether it's relationship or whatever the case may be, but they settle because it's like they're trying to prove they're right. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to make it seem like it's like, okay, I'm staying here because I want to prove to myself I'm right. You know, like I'm right that this was going to work out and I don't want to be wrong. So they kind of settle in that sense. It's almost like as if you have a disapproving father, like, oh, I don't like, you know, your boyfriend. He seems like a jerk. It's not going to work. And you're like, no, dad, he's a good
Oh,
guy.
okay.
So it's kind of like that, you know, like
Okay.
almost like I need to prove to myself, like, okay, I can make it work. Probably because at one point there was some disapproval, or, you know, you don't want to feel ashamed or embarrassed, you know, like, oh my gosh, how did I get
Yes.
myself in this
Okay.
situation?
Then
You
yeah, I
know,
didn't mean to yell. That was kind of loud.
I didn't even hear you.
Yes, I agree. Okay. I didn't get where you're going with that at first, but I do think so. Do you think maybe there's some shame behind that? Like, I feel like I have
Yeah,
to make this work because I don't want to eat crow
probably
about
some.
this, and have
I
to
would
admit
agree
to
with
somebody.
that. I think
Yeah.
so. I think it'd be more maybe like, yeah, shame because you know, when you first get into these relationships, it's like you truly do believe this is a good person and they're great.
Yeah. All the pheromones are still like really active, and you're just kind of like sucked into this person's charisma.
Right. And then you know, things start going downhill and you're like, "Oh boy, how did I get fooled into this?" But then it's like you kind of stick around because it's like, "Okay, maybe if I could just change this about this person and work on this a little bit, then maybe it'll work out. And this way, I'd be right that he or she is a good person. This person is a good person. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So that's why we really have to be willing to take that time to do the inner reflection. I know that's not what you want to hear, because you just want to, like, what's the fastest way? I want my stuff tomorrow. Maybe you got to work on yourself.
Yeah.
We all have to do it. I have to work on myself. Victoria has to work on herself. It's just one of those things. We have to do it, because whatever we attract is also going to affect the people in our inner circle.
Yeah. Life is a lesson, and I didn't study very good.
I think my manual's lost in the mail.
I'm getting better. No, no, I am thankful for, because, a lot of the experiences I have been through this practice and everything, it's like I'm learning too as I go. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like we're growing. We're growing with you, so but we're able to share, like, we could connect in that way. It's like, I've been there, so I know what you're going through, and this is what actually works, because it's kind of like we're mad scientists. We're like, let's experiment with that and see how well that works.
Yes, but always on ourselves first, because we want to make sure that what we bring you actually works.
Yeah.
I was telling Victoria earlier, and we might put this in the outtakes, but I had a different presentation to do over the week, and it was over a project that I've been working on for 1.5 years, and it was my baby. And I was like, my baby's growing up and it's going off to school. And, so it was going to be a teaching tool for the state of Missouri. And I mean, I was really excited about it. I poured so much work into it because I really, it caused me to stretch and grow on a lot, and challenged me in a lot of ways. And it was fabulous for me, definitely rough at times. But as I look back at it, it was a huge growing opportunity. And I'm very grateful, and I would do it 1,000,000 times over again. But when I had to give my baby away, I got super nervous about it, because I'm like, I'm not ready, because I was still attached to my baby, and I had to let my baby go. So I was walking backwards in my bedroom while I was preparing for the meeting, so that I could give myself cognitive dissonance, cognitive distance from this nervousness that I was expecting, or that I was experiencing. So the emotion and the feeling and the memories and things that will pop up that were causing some of this nervousness to come up, I was repeating them to myself and walking backwards, so that I could create that space, because we don't think about it. But when we're making identity statements, or like, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, and we're walking forward, we're stepping into it, at least on a subconscious level, and we're bringing it forward into our new experiences. So even just a little practice of saying the things basically like an opposite of an affirmation, and then walking backwards to create the distance. And then subconsciously it tells us to let it go.
Yeah, that's really cool. I know you were sharing that exercise with me the other day. I was like, interesting. I'm going to try that one.
Yeah, you definitely want to clear the stuff out of the way. I bumped in a couple of things.
I would imagine so. I was thinking about that. I was like,
clear the space. Yes.
Maybe I'll go outside and do it.
Yeah, I almost knocked my printer off the table.
Give the neighbors a show, just walking backwards. What are you doing? How are you doing? I'm clearing space in my mind. Okay. Have a good day. Thank you.
Yeah. Be in the right space for it, I think,
Yeah. And
so
that's definitely seems like a very effective technique. So I will have to give that a shot, because I was like, this is a new one. I've never heard of that one, but that does make sense.
Yeah. And it's really great if you follow it, or you do it after an EFT, an emotional freedom technique session.
Yeah.
Where you're tapping, and I don't know if you want to go into any of this in detail, but we're going to talk about it in our workshop. But the tapping helps the body calm itself down. And I know some people talk about meridians. I'm not as up on Oriental medicine as I could be to be able to speak on it from that perspective, but I am, the polyvagal theory is definitely worth reading if you guys are interested. But basically it runs through what we would call chakras, or your the central meridian. That particular nerve it runs in the front and the back. So,
Right.
and then, but as you're doing the tapping, it's switching the nerve off. There's ample research showing that doing EFT tapping reduces on average about 25% of your cortisol levels. Some people as high as 50% of your current cortisol levels, which is your main stress hormone that keeps you like activated.
Yes.
So yeah, and there's tons and tons and tons of research about it. So if you want to look it up after the podcast, I would definitely do that. Maybe we'll put some links if you're interested.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, EFT. So
yeah, emotional freedom
technique. Yes, very powerful tool. Recommend it highly, and we will probably be incorporating it in our next workshop. So, so if you're wanting to learn more and how to do it, come on by. So
yeah,